welcome back to Alpha Tauri, and it's the Canadian Grand Prix today in its rightful spot in the 2024 calendar after Monaco. I've also thrown a dart at the sprint weekend board and decided that this will be one as well, so we'll have a sprint today. Realise we've technically only had one normal weekend this entire week worth of races in Imola. We've had a sprint, we've had a normal race, we've had an ATA weekend, and now we've got another sprint to round things off again. What a lovely eventful week it's been, and what an eventful race it was last time. If you've not watched the Monaco Grand Prix, links in the description below, I do suggest you watch it, because things finally happened in a race. No news, by the way, no news, other than the fact that this is the first recording I've done on the 1.7 patch, which reverted the development design changes, which had that exponential problem. So it's back to design being kind of in line and difficult enough, and research being slightly broken opposed to the other way around. I will see you for qualifying shortly. Obviously only one practice round in between. Hopefully it won't be too crazy. I'm actually not that far behind Aston Martin, I now realise. I don't think we'll beat them this year, but a lot closer than I thought we were. Anyway, calendar. Oh, a light rain race as well. Didn't notice that one before. Excellent. One thing I'll say on this sprint weekend though is, judging by the amount of laps that these can do, I think the sprint might be a soft sprint, because longevity seems to be the name of the game here in terms of tyre capabilities, so we'll send them off on the usual in Q1. Everyone's got lap times in. I think Bottas being even distant to Daniel Ricciardo indicates a problem there, but the Hulkenberg time is interesting, because I thought Hamilton had an issue with his lap. De Vries has gone 8th. What the flip? But I thought the Hamilton time, initially before Russell put his in, was a hindered time. But Hulkenberg has pulled out a madness, it seems. I think Tsunoda was a little hindered on his lap because I think he was stuck on Ocon. But both Mercs slotting in 10 and 12 either side of Hulkenberg makes that Hamilton time seem a little bit more representative. Bottas has done a much better time. In fact, it looks like people are doing... It always looks like track evolution is a thing here, because people are doing much better second laps. De Vries up to 8th, Bottas from, even if we kind of assume that his regular time would have been comparable to Ricciardo's, 9/10 on Ricciardo himself. There's something going on here. There's a wave of vehicles coming out now, which makes me want to go Tsunoda first, because he's more in danger. Actually, Tsunoda, you impede that Aston Martin immediately. It's fascinating how they actually go faster out of the pit lane and then immediately slow down. If that doesn't show you the problem with automatic mode, I don't know what it does. There's another batch of drivers coming out now who'll be cutting it fine in terms of getting across the line in general. Tsunoda's going to have a Red Bull in front of him. Get close, don't pass it. Magnussen, Piastri, Zhou Guan Yu all on flying laps. Tsunoda's in danger. Actually, Tsunoda's in genuine real danger. De Vries is 9th, don't forget. So Zhou Guan Yu's definitely got more in him. Piastri only goes 17th. But Magnussen and Zhou Guan Yu both clearly have more, and these two Mercs I suspect have got more in them. So these times are crucial, particularly for Tsunoda, who hasn't gone out on fresh tyres. Well, that's unhelpful. For some reason the tyres did change for him. Probably my fault, but he's not gone faster, despite having a tow. Tsunoda's in danger. In fairness, if he got held up in the 3rd sector, then he might do a faster time now even... Nope, he hasn't. I mean, Alex isn't going faster either, so I don't know what's going on. He's on fresh tyres, Alex. Maxim on 11th, by the way. I'm worried by Zhou Guan Yu. I'm baffled by certain people finding time and certain people not. Hulkenberg goes even faster. Ricciardo goes 15th. What? I wasn't worried by Ricciardo, but good for him. Oh, Zhou Guan Yu's done? Oh, Zhou Guan Yu's done. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't know how he hasn't gone faster there. Well, Yuki's got like 5 sets of fresh tyres for the race. Considering the tyre wear situation on these tyres is, it barely makes a difference anyway, so he should have gone faster on that second lap with peak confidence and a tow from a Red Bull. There's no way he should have gone slower on that second one. I don't understand what happened. It must have been a driver error. I don't normally do 2 flying laps in Q2, but the tyre capabilities here just sort of make it feel like it might be a bit more worthwhile. Yeah, Alex has just done a 117.7. Bear in mind they did a 112 flat, basically, in Q1. So they were capable of more. I'm going to send Alex out now because Ricciardo's just popped out of the box. And if there's one person I absolutely want to get past, it's him. Don't mind being stuck behind a Aston Martin or a Ferrari, but clearing the Alfa Romeo is going to be important. I think he's with a Alpine as well. That being said, not really catching them. I don't understand how we're that far behind them. Thread the needle, Alex, thread the needle. Well, he got past him, so we'll go on board. I don't know how much that Sector 1 caused a problem. He was actually faster Sector 1. Inadvertently ruined Daniel's lap, but he wasn't getting out of Q2 anyway. It was a miracle he got out of Q1. Now ahead of him, of course. I just don't understand how we're that far behind him on the track in the first place to be in that situation. That is a driver on an in-lap ahead. He is not going fast. It's Mercedes who does get out of the way. Okay, Alex is putting in a really good time, which makes the Q1 times even more confusing because he's going faster here. It was a 120, it was a 111.7, was it, before? And he's taken about another 2.5 tenths out of that. Oh no, 1.5 tenths, sorry. 111.6? Yeah, 111.6 thereabouts. So there's another half a second in our cars from Q1, apparently. We may have actually helped Ricciardo in the end by towing him along, because he's gone, well, 14th. But both Mercs out, and both Hasses into Q3. Where's this Haas development come from? I mean, it's nice to have them back again, but it's an oddly slower time in Q3, but maybe these tyres are actually showing an effect by now. Although Alonso's done worse, and Max has done worse as well. I was waiting for the Haas to turn up because I wanted to make sure I ended up ahead of them. And I think my reflex was a little bit better this time. They have come out directly behind them this time rather than weirdly like a full sector behind. So get past him. Actually puts us at the front of this particular batch of vehicles as well. You can say there's an Alpine on track on a flying lap ahead, which could be a problem mostly. But if they get significantly far enough ahead, that we might not even catch them on the flying lap ourselves. Because apart from that initial get out of the pit lane moment where they slow down randomly straight away, in-lap out-lap speeds here are actually relatively decent, it seems. You can see even pushing that Magnussen isn't that far behind. We've not gained that much on him. We gained it on the straight, but not on the rest of the lap. I'm not gonna lie, the Q1 times did make me a little bit concerned about our capabilities here, but the fact Alex has got to Q3 means that, you know, whatever happened in Q1 was a tad anomalous, perhaps. Or maybe this is the anomaly, I don't know, but one way or the other, we do get a batch of new designs in over the next week or so. There won't be enough time to manufacture them for Spain, I don't think. We might get one copy of some of them, but certainly not 2 copies, one for each car. Are you going to catch him right at the hairpin? Is this what's going to happen, or are we going to be able to get past him better than this? That's a problem. Just get out of the way, relatively alright though. Alonso does a better time, unsurprisingly. Stroll's locked into 4th. 2 better sectors. I'm hoping this continues it even with the hindrance. Nope, the hindrance killed it. And we're officially 10th. Gasly cost us 7 tenths. In fairness, it was only a marginal improvement to begin with, but it might have been enough to get past this block, at least, into 8th again. K-Max put out a... Hang on, where's this time gone? Where's the 111.5 capabilities? Ocon and Pierre both have penalties, and I don't know why. Practice results not necessarily important, but Daniel Ricciardo crashed out, and we've got up to, I think it's like 98% driver confidence. You can see it there. They're pretty confident as things stand, although apparently just enough difference in the baseline levels for Alex to get +4s over +3s. I'm pretty certain a soft does this, even on a 5 push. Just. It is 23 laps. Obviously, it's a short lap, so there's a fair bunch of them in a sprint still. One of those penalties is certainly enough to take Tsunoda up. I wonder if they were incident penalties. Were those incident penalties layovers from the Monaco Grand Prix last time out for the Alpines? Is that what they are? Because obviously they crashed out at the same time. Their demotions can't be applied in that race. So has it carried over 3 place penalties into this race for both of those drivers who crashed with both of the Aston Martins? Because Ocon's gone behind Tsunoda, but clearly Gasly's was only enough to take him 9th. I think he qualified 6th, because Alex is still 10th.
Here we go. It's the Montreal Sprint. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Interestingly, it was very quiet during the intro period of that, so I wondered if it had a little bit of an issue stitching together a Canadian Grand Prix sprint information. Alonso's on hards again, or that could be Stroll. Actually, I think it's Stroll that's on hards. Aston Martin pluffing that again. But Montreal Sprint at least came up as a dialogue, so they are capable of stitching that together, even if they can work out what to talk about in the introduction. But Albon has cleared Hulkenberg. The penalties only apply for the actual race. So Tsunoda still started that race, the sprint 16th. So he has got De Vries off the line. Of course, there's no messages for overtakes. Albon has cleared Magnussen now. Tsunoda's actually cleared Ricciardo as well, for good measure. So wherever Gasly and Ocon finish in this race, they'll get a further 3-place promotion, as Tsunoda's going for Ocon already. Actually, behind. Let's have a look at that. Oh, he's got him. He's just straight up got him. I don't think we can really do fuel. It seems to burn off quite quickly, which makes me concerned it won't recover quickly either. About half a kilogram you can kind of get away with in sprints, I find, which means we're going to struggle a little bit now. But that Haas is on mediums. Hulkenberg down to 11th. I should really look at the tyre situation. Only Verstappen in the top 6 is on a soft. Perez is on a hard as well. As Russell's having a poor on Hulkenberg, qualified okay, and that is now just going backwards in the sprint because he's on mediums in a sea of soft runners. Also seems to be taking a while for these tyres to overheat on push, which is nice for us, because it means we probably actually can just 5 push for the entire sprint then, as long as it only stays in this kind of territory temperature-wise. Because we know the severe temperatures. Albon got Alonso and I didn't even notice. but in severe temperatures, it can melt the tyres. I think it's probably not particularly. I mean, the track's not that cold, to be fair, but I think other drivers have come off it now. Alonso being pressured a little bit by Magnussen, actually. I mean, I know obviously we're driving away, so we're sort of keeping up the pressure a little bit longer than everyone else, but Magnussen's a lot closer to Alonso than I was anticipating he'd be. But we're in touching distance of Gasly now, who will obviously have a penalty anyway for the race. So as things stand, we'd start 6th. But pressuring Gasly and pressuring Hulkenberg as Tsunoda is now. Poor Hulkenberg on those mediums, man. I feel sorry for him. DRS, of course, down here, but he'll have his own DRS. Just. He may not have DRS for the main straight, Hulkenberg, and I don't think he will do. He's got in range by the hairpin, but the detection point is a lot earlier. No, he doesn't. And we get to witness this overtake as I've somehow managed to dodge all the previous ones up to this point in this sprint. Apologies for that. Somehow I've just had the uncanny knack of just being on the wrong person at the wrong time. But Albon on Gasly is a thing that's happening now as well. Behind by this detection point. Gasly's within DRS now, but I don't know if he was in the detection point when it happened. He was not in the detection point when it happened. And this is double DRS technically as well. So I wonder if Alex can get himself in a good position on the inside here so he can take the turn 1-2. Or is it 3? Is that kink count as one as well? I don't know if it's another one of those tracks where a non-corner counts as a corner, but that's Albon past Gasly. And now into the DRS train of 2 hard runners on Perez and Stroll. We'll just take a little bit of temperature out of these tyres so then we can sort of push them again as we see fit. As Albon actually struggles to stay in the DRS of Sainz for some reason. I don't know if he just caught it or not. It doesn't seem like he did. Tsunoda's being challenged by Hulkenberg. Now, can a DRS acquisition gets him that position back comfortably? Albon well in Stroll's DRS this time round. As Sainz has cleared both hard runners, that's important for Sainz in particular, and Alex clears Stroll as well for good measure. Alex is 5th, as we brought the temperature down on those tyres a significant portion. Yeah, we're absolutely going for this. Although, to be fair, other soft runners are only on like 82, 85, so we're not... Verstappen's even worse off because he started on used softs. But it's not like we've pushed these tyres much more than other people, surprisingly. We probably will do by the end. We'll probably end up like a good solid 10% worse off than other people. But Sainz and Perez are doing well enough that they can fight each other. Stroll on hards were just that significant portion slower, so that once he fell out and ended up 5th, he couldn't hold on. But I'm surprised Perez on a hard can keep up with Sainz. And I think he's on a medium, though. So it's not like Sainz has got the tyre advantage to a drastic degree. So this is all about holding on to this position for Alex now. As Tsunoda has cleared Hulkenberg and Ocon actually got past Hulkenberg as well now. Now he's now in a fight with the 2 Mercs. It's good progress from Tsunoda here. It does prove that the qualifying pace was a bit of a fluke, but then again we are slamming these now. He's kind of in a stretch of vehicles that all have DRS though. Starts with Gasly in 6th. Hamilton being forced to go defensive might drop him out of his own DRS from his teammate, but Tsunoda's having a go. Not well enough though. Albon is close to getting the DRS of Sainz and Perez. I think he's just nabbed the DRS of, well, Perez as it was at the time, but he's taken Sainz in the hairpin, I think. So that is now a hard, medium, soft trio, showing the colours of the rainbow tyre-wise as he's cleared Sainz. Alex, now behind the hard-running Perez. Alex, I mean, this doesn't bode well for the race, I'm not going to lie, because he's now taken Perez and has the DRS as well. He took Perez in the hairpin, having acquired the DRS previously. Hamilton and Tsunoda were fighting meanwhile for 11th, as Russell has taken Magnussen as well for 9th. Stroll's down to 8th, he's behind his teammate, he's in danger of losing out on points altogether now. But Albon is clear of Perez, and the tyre temperature is coming down now he's in clean air as well. So I don't even need to cool his tyres down, because even without doing anything extra now, he appears to be tracking above. I have popped him on, probably about there. There's a yellow flag somewhere. And a safety car has been deployed. Magnussen is on plus 0-0. It's not Tsunoda, is it? No. Okay. For a moment, he was on plus 0-0 as well, but just Magnussen. I don't know if that's good or not. I mean, it's pretty obvious what happened. He's binned it. I think he's binned it the same way he binned it last time, actually. This time, he just didn't collect his teammate because he was sort of looking sideways in the middle of a straighter section. I think he's binned it out of here. I think he slammed into that wall and then bounced off into the middle of the track. Just thankfully this time it was, avoidable for anyone behind. He's either binned it out there or he's binned it out of this chicane and ended up sideways on this straight. It was one of those 2 sectors. I couldn't quite tell, but everyone's caught up now. Is safety car coming in? No, we get one more lap of conserving everything, so that means we can just push the field for the remainder of this. I'm presuming the safety car comes in this lap. Nope, we're going round again for no apparent reason. Now the safety car's coming in. Oh, good news is tyres will be 100% fine. Perez got past Albon before the safety car came out, which is mildly annoying, and I hadn't noticed that until just now. Just sort of waiting for a little bit longer because I don't want them to burn up the ERS before they would do normally, because for some reason they can still burn ERS when they're in this, but I think we're okay now. Safety car ended, but Max still yet to sort of really go for it. That's the quietest restart in history. I don't know what just happened there. This is, of course, Alex on the soft, immediately behind Perez on a hard. Like I say, like, we have ended up kind of beneath a lot of people, though in fairness, Alex has pushed harder than Tsunoda there. He's only 3% behind people, and Alex is only marginally on par with basically Verstappen. So we can utterly sum this now. There's only 4 racing laps as well left. Tsunoda claims Hamilton on the restart. Good work, Tsunoda. Obviously I was focusing on the person who could end up on the sprint podium. Oh, that's the thing, but you know what I mean. This could be worth six points. It's 5 points versus 6 points here. He won't get Verstappen or Leclerc, but Perez on a hard is utterly claimable. And I don't think Sainz on a medium would have been claimable if he hadn't then been held up by Perez originally. Meanwhile, Tsunoda on the back of Russell? Yeah. There's a chance Tsunoda could claim the last point here, I think. Because Stroll could hold up Russell. It's whether or not Tsunoda can get Russell. Clear him, Alex. Clear him. Be behind by the detection point, but clear him. Good boy, Alex. Behind the detection point, get him through the chicane and then power away from him. Although I'm not sure DRS is actually even active. Oh, it is. Clearly. I wouldn't normally deploy on this lap, but actually I might leave Tsunoda's off. Well, Alex is passed. I was hoping to be in Charles Leclerc's DRS, but sadly not. Tsunoda's fighting Russell. Will give this the focus it deserves. It's a lovely camera angle. Pity we don't get the replay on that in a sprint, but never mind. It's crucial that he gets past Russell whilst maintaining DRS on Stroll, because he needs to be able to power away on this next straight, so that he can then claim Stroll for that last sprint point. It's a sensational drive from Yuki Tsunoda, though. Like, he's only fighting for that last point, but considering where he started, which would have been 16th, can we not waste too much time on Russell here, Tsunoda? Thank you. Now get him. Get Lance. Yeah, Tsunoda and Perez, obviously. It's going to be a tighter fight, but that's 5 points versus 6. Last lap, and he's hunting. He's a hunting. I think the soft versus hard thing could be easy enough for Tsunoda to do, because then he'll immediately be in Fernando's DRS. Tsunoda, just take whatever little bits left, Alex. Whatever little bits left, burn it now. Keep Perez behind. It's a ridiculous third place start, which is going to tank his confidence in the actual race. Tsunoda has claimed Stroll on the line. He almost got Fernando, actually. I mean, we may have finished, but I think he's going to technically claim Fernando now. There's a race winner message. But Tsunoda pips Stroll on the line. It says +0-0. You don't get a replay of it, which is annoying. He's gone 16 to 8th, which is fair enough, but Alex finished 3rd. I'll be honest, I actually genuinely forgot Albon started 10th. I thought he started 8th for some reason. So yeah, that's ridiculous from Alex. Considering his fastest lap was actually slower than both Carlos and Sergio's, it was just more consistent. His fastest lap was actually slower than Lance Stroll's fastest lap, and he was on hards. Also, shout out to Valtteri Bottas, who went from 19th to 14th in that sprint, somehow. I mean, it's still, you know, no points, but for pride purposes, great work from Valtteri. Yuki will actually start 7th because of Pierre's penalty, of course. Oh yeah, there's rain in the race. I forgot about that part. Oh, it's early as well. Okay, that's... oh, God. Okay, this is interesting. All right, so we flip that to an intermediate, because I don't think that's ever going to be more than intermediate. And then we work out whether or not these can survive, basically, afterwards. Because it's going to dry up around there at the earliest, 1 lap later, perhaps, probably. And I'm going to estimate the latest in which these tyres are going to be intermediate is probably around 14, somewhere in this ballpark. So that's strategy D. So looking at what we can function with here, a medium will do it. It can't exactly push it. Now, obviously, we can blitz the softs. There's no questions there. We can blitz the intermediates. There's no questions there. Can't really do much on a... whereas you can blitz a hard and still have tyres at the end. Would be faster, apparently. A hard on a push is actually faster, so we'll do that then. Of course, instants are not averse here. There's a bit of rain. I'm doing the risky 2 laps. 3rd and 7th for the race. There we get focus.
The drivers are ready and raring to go. It's the Canadian Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go.
Oh, here we go. Another 70 laps of Montreal. I complained about 100 laps of Austria. We're doing 93. at Canada, so not much worse. I mean, factoring in qualifying again, it is 100 laps. We'll give ourselves the best possible opportunity. Has anyone not started on a soft, by the way? No, everyone has predicted the rain to come. Hamilton's tyres have seen some use for some reason, as have Verstappen's, but Hamilton's I don't understand because he didn't even get to Q3. Stroll has claimed Tsunoda. Stroll has claimed Alonso. Stroll's just gone, I'm having that for some reason. I don't think I've actually generally seen like a lap one from them doing that before. We'll come back in. I think Daniel Ricciardo's claimed Nick De Vries off the line. Because I'm pretty certain he finished the sprint 16th, gained a place from Ocon, and now he's 14th. So I think he's taken Nick De Vries. Go on, Danny! Sauber's 13th, 14th. They've had some improvement, clearly. A, to get out of Q1 originally in quali, and B, Bottas going 19th to 14th. Daniel did go backwards in the sprint, but maybe the Williams has gone backwards in the overall charts. Haas has clearly gone forwards, and hopefully it seems like Sauber has gone forwards. Meanwhile, I'll focus on Tsunoda on this opening lap. He's doing all right. The track is 5 degrees warmer today, so tyre temperatures are already hot at the end of lap 2 this time round. We've not really seen much inroads either. Perez not holding on to Albon is not something I was expecting from those opening 2 laps. We'll probably stop pushing the fuel after 2 laps as well. As Leclerc did fastest laps and Albon stayed within his DRS range. Whether or not he can keep the DRS range now he hasn't got deployment, I sort of doubt. Realistically, with Alex, I am looking at 7th. Ultimately, yeah, it's taken half a lap. Albon's already lost that half a second that he needed. Although he may have actually been within the second detection point. He was. It's not going to help him long term, I don't think. But yeah, these tyres are getting a lot warmer today because the track is warmer. But at the same time, there's no real danger on this first stint because it will rain. Tsunoda pressuring Alonso, who can't keep up with his teammate for some reason. That feels weird. I am going to check this one out. Stroll has relatively new engine, relatively new gearbox, relatively solid DRS. Alonso's vehicle is mostly broken. It's what I suspected, having seen that. Also, they underfueled even more than we did. Oh no, they didn't. Sorry. The Alpine thing wasn't an engine lightness, by the way. I think it's fuel efficiency is what the Alpine engine has. So that's why they always have less fuel in their car at the beginning of the race. I always note that they I noted it sort of when we did this check, I think it was towards the end of last season, where I kind of noticed that they'd underfueled seemingly by like about 4 laps. It's because they don't need as much fuel in the first place. So it's not technically underfueling by 4 laps for their engine. It's probably still underfueling by like 2 laps for their engine. So that's why they're kind of like the lightest car. They are the lightest car at the start of the race, but it's not because their engine is fundamentally lighter. It's because they need less fuel to begin with, which is why the Alpines are always good in the beginning of sprints in particular and the beginning of races. So Alonso's car is effectively on the way out because he hasn't fumbled his car, I don't think, at any point, whereas Lance Stroll has binned his car twice this season and therefore has taken new car parts earlier. Well, Perez has taken Albon, unsurprisingly. I mean, clearly not the second corner. Oh, it is, actually. I suppose it is technically the second corner, isn't it? Eventually. Alex isn't on for a podium. He may have started 3rd. He will go backwards. I want to see the Tsunoda-Alonso overtake replay, but it's not coming, apparently. Stroll's claimed Sainz. There's no reason for that one. His parts are slightly worse, so maybe there's a slight output problem with Sainz, but I don't really understand why Stroll's claimed Sainz. I think it might be a case of Sainz may have just been outside the DRS and Stroll got him. I think it managed to get in the DRS of what would have been Albon at the time. Albon is contesting with Perez. If AI poaching was a thing, I'd be slightly worried Red Bull would be after Albon next season, because that's a statement. Like for like, capable of actually fighting Perez is interesting. Bear in mind we've not put an upgrade on this car for about 3 races. Oh, there was an instant ahead. I literally just saw it in the distance. I thought it might have been clumsy animation, but it was actually a connection between Leclerc and Verstappen. Neither have crashed out, but it was a thing. I thought it might have just been like focal distance clumsy animation, but it was actually a connection. Was it Verstappen hitting Leclerc or the other way around? I couldn't quite tell there. I think it was Verstappen sliding into Leclerc, wasn't it? Pretty certain Leclerc's taken the penalty, though. He has, inexplicably. Maybe it was counted as Leclerc turning in on Verstappen, and that's why Verstappen slid. They're sort of just keeping the distance to Stroll and Sainz behind these two here. Tsunoda obviously not capable. Now there's a bit of a gap between him and Sainz as well. His tyre temperatures are coming down, so it is partially congestion that's warming these tyres up. The dirty air. We're sort of seeing the same thing with Albon, but now he's back behind Perez. How's the looking? A little less, maybe? 15? I mean, it could actually be all the way to 16. Could be worth just doing a little bit of preservation on these tyres, just to make sure we absolutely get to the... I mean, to be fair, there's a good solid, at least probably 30% there at the end of this stint, regardless, but it might be worth just cooling the tyres down a smidgen while we're in DRS, particularly Perez. in Alex's case. Sonoda's obviously a little bit off. Stroll up to 5th is wild, by the way. I don't understand that, as Alonso claims Sonoda back. Now that we're just doing a tiny bit of sort of maintenance, although Alex is still challenging Perez. I think he may have done something stupid there. I think he may have just nudged ahead by the detection point. Sonoda gets Alonso back again. Gasly's in this hunt as well. I'm surprised Gasly didn't actually get Alonso there as well. He didn't really sort of take the opportunity to follow through. But off we go again. Oh, Alex was just behind at the detection point. Good work, Alex. So rain in 4 minutes, apparently. Bear in mind that it's kind of point A is where the flip happens. Definitely going to get high enough, and they'll definitely obviously come back down to be a dry race from there on in afterwards, but just get those tyres down a little bit, lads. Like, even whilst maintaining these temperatures, he is capable of sticking with Perez, which is good. He's closing on Verstappen in this phase. Now we've got the temperatures down, we can push again. Oh, the rain is falling. Has Leclerc got, like, significant damage? Because now he's in front. He's held up Verstappen dramatically so, to the point that we're in their DRS range, effectively. They've just pulled away because of DRS, but Tsunoda's overtaken Gasly for, 7th again. Gasly's got through Alonso, it seems. Hulkenberg's back up to 12th. De Vries has got through the Saubers. Meanwhile, Shogun has claimed 1 place. Either calendar really isn't suiting these McLarens, or they've not developed and everyone else has, because they are running 18th and 19th kind of legitimately, it seems. But we are well within the DRS of Verstappen and Leclerc. I said we weren't on for a podium here. Don't forget Leclerc's got a penalty. Alonso's dropped off, but provided you got the DRS on him here, make this work, Yuki. Yeah, get your mate here. Albon's got Verstappen. Alex, Verstappen was the one in the lead, so he's the one without DRS. So he's already been claimed by Leclerc at this stage. But Alex, I don't know what I put in his. He's had his Weetabix is what's happened here. Crikey. Why are they going so slowly is my question. Why is Alex pumping in sub 116s and they are doing more than that? That's known as reclaim Gasly again. That's back and forth. I would say that we're in a kind of a solid range for double stacking here, because there's to leader. Well, Alex is the leader now, so we can see that. What? Alex is the leader, so we can see this effectively as being about 7 seconds between the pair of them. We could pit them on the same lap if we so desired. Gasly's got him back again. I don't want to see that overtake. Albon is really adaptable, don't I forget though, as well. I don't know if adaptability features into confidence. It does not. But he's basically on the fringe of 90 on everything right now. So Leclerc obviously at the DRS still in these damp conditions. It's not being deactivated. We'll be challenging Alex back for this lap, and probably will get him realistically at some point. Although not there. Why are we... What? I don't understand. Why are we fighting for... What? This is not where I expected to be in this race, and because of the rain as well, the track temperatures come right down. So we're staying well within the tyre temps. And in fact, I don't think it's actually going to go above sort of 102, 103, 104, it feels like now. So Alex maintains the lead whilst pushing in the rain. I mean, there's a danger there inherent, but speak of the devil, there's a yellow flag somewhere. It's the optimal pit lap, but I don't think it's time to pit. It is Shogun and Piastri who has fumbled the final corner. Might as well watch it, but I suspect it's exactly what you anticipate happening here. It's Oscar Piastri on the inside. Shogun closes him off, I guess, and then spins weirdly after at that point. That was slightly baffling subsequent thing there, but it's Shogun that's been penalised. So classes as a turn-in collision causing, I guess. We're at 0.5 millimeters on track. It is going to continue to come up. I get a feeling it might be 0.8 by the end of next lap. It's only 5 seconds between the two of them now, which is marginally annoying, because Alex is having to fend off attacks from other people now. And speak of the devil, I suspect Leclerc's got the DRS here as well, which is the sad part. Tsunoda and Gasly just won't stop overtaking each other. I didn't even see the Gasly overtakes part. Presume he got him on the other DRS section. Meanwhile, George Russell behind us watching this happen lap after lap as the two former teammates overtake each other consistently, constantly. So we're at 0.6. I thought it might be time to come in at the end of that lap, but no. Of course, there is the risk here that it doesn't actually ever get down. I will get down, yeah, certainly. That gets at least twice the peak of that, so it will get down. 0.64, 0.65. Leclerc's just gone for this. He's just randomly pulled out a full second and a half. I don't really know why or how. Certainly one more lap. No one else is peeled in there. There might be a good observational point here at the end of this lap as Piastri and Zhou Guanyu hit the pit lane entry. Whether or not they dive in. Okay, so it still wasn't good enough that lap, clearly. This is why we kind of held off a little bit and got those tyre temperatures down. Because this is coming a lot later, it feels like. Still kind of steady for another 2 laps, maybe? We might be looking at lap 18 now. At least Verstappen's fighting Leclerc, which has kept Albon in touch for this lap. I want you to know if anyone else has actually pushed it, because our tyres should be... Wow, our tyres are actually better than some people's. Verstappen and Leclerc have like really gone for this, having been in a fight for so long. I think they must have come off their fight for a little bit there because they must have absolutely obliterated their tyres in the first part of that and then come off that fight because Alex and Tsunoda are in part, then Norris is pitted. From at the rear of the field, Norris is pitted. Right, so we'll set up the pit stop now. Only Norris is pitted, so we can always delay it if we so desire. I kind of want to see how the interval to Zhou Guan Yu turns up in this next... I think we might have another lap, you know. It feels like Albon might need to go another lap for certain, because it's still only 0.74, and anything beneath 0.8 is still not really a thing. But by the time Tsunoda gets in and out, and he's only 3 seconds behind now, well, probably about 5 total, he's kind of on the fringe of just double stack not being in an issue. So there's no way of seeing the pit lane. I'm going to risk it with Alex. I'm going to go for it with Tsunoda, because I feel like we're on the borderline. De Vries, Ocon, and Piastri have all pitted. It feels like we're very much on the borderline because Tsunoda is slightly losing time to Hulkenberg and Hamilton there, but that might be also cold tyres. It's gone to 0.77 all of a sudden. Still 0.77. I mean, neither of them look like they're coming in. My concern is it looks like it gets slightly sharper. So I feel like it's going to cross over quite quickly from being crossover period to full damp. Like, I feel like that's going to happen, like, in the space of a lap. Like, it's going to easily go from, like, 0.8 to 0.9 in one lap. And that might be next lap. Everyone's come in. Everyone's come in. I thought the fact there was a bunch of them that came in behind made me feel like there was going to be a case of people coming in. So Alex Albon into the pits. Tsunoda obviously coming out as well soon. Tsunoda's in the DRS of Hamilton now, who's come in and sort of fumbles Magnussen there. Hulkenberg stays out. I don't know if that's really held Tsunoda up, actually. That might have done. Drivers coming out now as well. Leclerc's only coming out sort of... Why is Albon 5 seconds ahead of Verstappen? Did Verstappen have an issue, which then subsequently held up Leclerc? Oh no, Leclerc had a penalty. Leclerc had a penalty. I have no idea what happened with Verstappen. Well, Alex can now get these tyres up. He's in clean air behind Gasly as we sort of get to that crossover point, which is actually 0.8. And Tsunoda's warmer intermediates are getting on the back of Leclerc now as well. So the penalties pushed Leclerc into Tsunoda, which is curious. Which means Albon is legitimately in the lead of this race by about 4 seconds. Russell's continued on as the only driver yet to pit, I think. Gasly's in now, which is kind of the crucial one for Tsunoda, as he basically almost runs into the back of Leclerc. Gasly came out of Verstappen and Leclerc, and Gasly was the one Tsunoda was fighting with, so we have lost out with Tsunoda, it seems. Either people holding him up, maybe, I don't know, but... Obviously, Russell's continued on, and he was the other one that was kind of in the same ballpark. Alonso was the other one, who is actually well behind Tsunoda. I don't really understand what's happened through these pit stops. Alonso is 11 seconds behind, stuck behind Bottas now, which is probably part of it, but he had to end up behind Bottas in the first place. Meanwhile, Gasly's ended up well clear of Verstappen and Leclerc, and thus Tsunoda as well. But Russell's in now, as we're getting the fuel back now we're in damp conditions. Albon isn't in the lead. Stroll and Perez are in the lead. Huh? The outlaps and intermediates must be really slow. Is the only thing I can think of here is the outlaps have cost. Like, they came out just a little bit too early to get the temperatures up on these intermediates, so therefore when they came in it took less time for these two guys to get up to speed. Either way, we're in damp conditions now. Perez is presumably quite adaptable. Stroll's not. I think Stroll's actually relatively competent in the wet, so he might be relatively adaptable too, which has probably helped their soft tyres in wetter conditions situation as well. But it's officially damp now. Yeah, it's Verstappen and Leclerc who were running 1-2 essentially with Alex in the mix. The 1-2-3 are now 3-5-8. Leclerc had a 5-second penalty. That one's explainable. Alex and Verstappen, not so much. But Tsunoda is now 12 seconds clear of Alonso. Again, Alonso's car doesn't really work, but he was sort of in the same fight. And at least it seems that he's closed on Gasly a little bit. Only about 2.5 seconds behind total. So I think we came in a little early. We'll remember that when we go the other way. So Alex is still on for a podium, but it kind of depends how the reverse pit stops pan out. Because we've still got, well, at least 10 more laps of rain. Damp conditions at least. Leclerc's going for it on Gasly, although he's now fallen off Gasly again, as Gasly's going for it on Russell and Verstappen. It's Albon who's holding everyone up, apparently, even though he's very adaptable. Like, his adaptability is one thing that keeps going up, and I don't want it to. Yeah, for some reason, Alex is struggling to keep in pace, and I don't really understand it. Either Perez and Stroll's adaptability is 100, or something else is at play here. Well, there goes Sainz as well. Sainz in the wet I understand because he is kind of known to be, you know, smooth operator. So his adaptability and smoothness are effectively his strongest attributes on an already strong driver. But in a strong car, of course. Of course, there's no DRS as well, which is part of what was keeping Alex in a fight. Maybe that's the main thing, is the lack of DRS sort of negated the lap differential that we would have naturally. Like, why Gasly can keep up and Tsunoda can't is slightly more confusing, but You know, we've sort of got to effectively 1 lap under through the rain, which is solid because we might be able to get the rest back in the... Still a half a race to go. Okay, so rain's holding on a little longer as well. This optimal pit stop lap is not going to work. Oh, that's a valid point. We'll say 2 laps time. An average of 4 or an average of 5 on a hard. Apparently hard is king at Canada. So it's ceased to rain now. Okay, we've hit the 1 millimeter mark. Our issue is the fact that we're at the end of the pit straight. I think we're effectively locked in till next lap. Well, Alex definitely is because he's gone past the pit lane. Yeah, drivers behind have switched over, which might actually work in our benefit because it's still slightly damp. So them lot switching onto it, they might still have to deal with getting up a little bit in damper conditions. Whereas when we come in and out, it'll be sort of bang on the mark. We're being informed about a De Vries pit stop issue for some reason. But everyone's in now. Tyres are on. He's been released relatively straightforwardly as well. I don't think there's been any issue there. Perez and Stroll. I think Sainz didn't pit. Ferrari'd it. And we're no longer actually having the fastest pit stops for some reason either. Tsunoda may have been held up. Still comes out behind Gasly, but he comes out behind Gasly. So Leclerc's gained through the pit stops. I'm curious to know if everyone else has gone on mediums there. Someone got on softs. I mean, if you're careful with them, maybe. I mean, if there's an incident as well in like lap 50, then anyone who's gone on softs is laughing really because they'll actually probably make the end with that. Oh yeah, fuel's going to be absolutely fine. We kind of did that to perfection. Sainz comes out behind Albon again, which is nice. Comfortably behind as well. Our debate was stream medium and hard and people have gone on softs. I didn't see that one coming. Tsunoda remains in 9th, still 12 seconds clear of Alonso, but obviously not staying in touch with the leaders now because A, we don't have DRS, and B, we're on a much worse compound. Albon's in a 1:19.1. That's his outlap though, isn't it? Verstappen's done a 1:14. Jesus wept. He's going 2.6 seconds faster than Albon. Our situation is just sort of sticking with it and getting to the end untires the function, whereas they may not. Like, we're expecting to fall through this now. Tsunoda pushing is doing similar times to the cars behind, so I don't think he'll go backwards. But Albon is going notably slower than the cars that he's fighting with now. So a podium very much isn't on, and I don't know what's happened to Lance Stroll in his own race. I don't know how he's ended up first. He's doing 1:14.8 for crying out loud. But if Alex can sort of hold on to DRS on these superior compounded tyres and superior cars full stop, it can at the very least mitigate some of the problem, as I think we've lapped Piastri there. They're probably pushing fuel as well, let's not forget. Leclerc isn't gaining on Albon all that quickly. I thought he'd be immediately into Albon, but it's taken him a few laps. And even pushing these tyres, we're not overheating them too hard either. Alonso and Magnussen are fighting behind and are closing slightly. I think everyone else is pushing their tyres because they are going down at a similar rate of knots. But Leclerc has now acquired Albon, but we are 8 seconds off. It's taken them a while to get caught up. I said 7th might have been reasonable, you know, in the assumption that all the other vehicles would get through behind us. The 2 Ferraris, the 2 Red Bulls, and the 2 Aston Martins, the ones that weren't already ahead of us. I figured they'd be ahead of us by the end of the race. And that's kind of happened, but I didn't also factor in Alonso's car being effectively non-functional. We've sort of ended up where I thought we'd end up. Well, I dare say we may end up not 6th now. I mean, if there's an incident as well in like lap 50, then I'm glad that's the game replayed. Has he done what Magnussen did? Yep. Oh, he stopped Leclerc there. Well, that's our first incident in a while. It's such a shame for Alex. He's had such a strong weekend. Tsunoda up to 8th, though. Has the Q3 tyre been locked out again? Okay, so this is a persistent issue then. Like, even in a sprint weekend, that should be unlocked. There should never be any locked compounds for a race. 19 laps. That's less than the sprint was, and we could do that as a push anyway. So, yeah, definitely on a soft now. I wonder if they've used their last softs. Is that a medium on the front runners? Well, this kind of helps Yuki Tsunoda, had disappeared. It hinders him in the sense that the people behind have caught up, but it is mediums on the front 3. I wasn't seeing things there. And Magnussen behind. That's helpful. And notably, the one person he was behind, he has now claimed Russell. So he loses out on Albon, annoyingly, but Tsunoda's now hopefully reclaiming those points that we were losing there to a degree. Fuel's probably good enough to push for the rest of this race as well. I think it comes down quite quickly, but if he can get into the back of Gasly, whose fuel situation isn't going to be helpful now, by into the back of Gasly, I mean, overtake him now, straight away. Up 2 places, lap 1 on the restart. You love to see it. Into the place that Alex vacated, and he's actually having to go with Leclerc as well while we're at it. Expert work on Tsunoda there. I don't really understand how we lost so much time through the wet. I understand losing time on the initial one, but I don't really understand losing time on the outside as well. But he's having a good go at Leclerc now. Well, Leclerc might be damaged. Because let's not forget, Alex thumped him. Well, his ERS has never been particularly solid either, but he's got a... Well, I don't know why it says VSC. He's got a way... He had tyre loss from the incident, but he didn't actually lose any vehicle damage. Let's go indeed, Yuki. That is really good work from Yuki. This is the best race we've ever had. Barring Albon. Now, But I mean, Albon got some solid points in the sprint. We'll take those now. Slightly annoying that he couldn't hold on for this. Leclerc's dropped off. Of course, there's always structure damage that you can't see on that front, the aerodynamic parts. I don't think we can see their aerodynamic parts in those calculations. Tsunoda's on fastest lap. 1:13.6. I don't forget the front three are on mediums. Sainz isn't, so this is still impressive. Yeah, so he's... Oh, yeah, we can't really deploy anymore. But he's in 4th place. He's got Verstappen. I'm not really having enough time to come back on my camera here between these replays. I mean, strictly speaking... I mean, apart from the financial losses we're probably going to have from all the mechanical replacements that we're going to need to do on Alex's car now, long term, he's obviously got spare parts now, but is the points gained from Tsunoda going to outweigh the points lost from Alex? Because Alex was 6th and kind of comfortably so. And 6th is what, 8 points? And Tsunoda was in 8th and similarly, or 9th and similarly kind of comfortably 9th, which is 2 points. And now he's 4th. So, yeah, I dare say we've gained more points through Tsunoda than we lost from Alex retiring. Verstappen's taken Perez. Realistically, I wasn't expecting to get ahead of Verstappen long term. I feel like we can claim Stroll. I'm thinking the Red Bulls might still have too much for us on medium tyres long term, but Stroll, I think, if Verstappen clears him, I think Stroll is certainly claimable, and then we'll probably have to concede to Perez later on. But I think Verstappen will get Stroll this lap, and there's a good chance that he could get done 2-4 here. With us having DRS on this straight, yeah, he hasn't really made the attack line. Now, we are running a little bit hot on these tyres. It is one DRS train, though, up to Norris, who creates a new one. Actually, both McLarens are causing a roadblock, which is quite funny. How are they doing tyre-wise? Oh, they're on mediums, of course, aren't they? Yeah, Ocon's pushed and we've pushed this entire stint, really. That extra fuel is burning off quite quickly, actually. We've claimed Verstappen, and now we're attacking Stroll. Tsunoda's challenging for the lead. It is Lance Stroll, so I am wary. But if Tsunoda takes an attack line, he could be leading on the next lap. He's taking the attack line. A little bit of a concertina, but Tsunoda is leading the race. A genuine race lead. This isn't like a fluke pole in Monza where we've engineered the situation and we've done the first lap in pole and then continued to maintain that advantage on lap 1 before ultimately falling through. This is Tsunoda coming through the field into first from 8th on the restart. 8th! There's a bit of back and forth between the front three. Sainz is sort of there, but not really kind of being a part of it. I think we can go like maybe 0.2 under and then recover that for the remainder. The fuel is going to be a problem, actually. But Tsunoda's on the inside of Verstappen now. Their decision to go into mediums has been a godsend for us. It says Tsunoda's overtaken Verstappen, but Verstappen's overtaken Tsunoda, but he was ahead already. There's only, what, 9 laps left? Inclusive, we can go all out. We have to save the fuel now, but which might counterbalance things a bit. We might have to settle for 3rd, really. Perez is 5th, actually. He's fallen through. Sainz as well. That medium choice not working out for him. I thought the Red Bulls might have enough just as a vehicle to maintain at least the rest. Stroll I don't understand. The fact that Stroll is more competitive than Perez is something I can't fathom here. Maybe there's a boost for being in Canada, home race and all that. But we've claimed Stroll, who didn't have DRS. I mean, this is unbelievable. We're going to have the first podium as things stand. This might be the longest race of the season, video length-wise, but it's been worth every second. Stroll's dropped off. Tsunoda's having a go. I don't think he's quite got enough for Verstappen there. Bear in mind, his mediums would be a lot healthier than our softs by the end of this race, but he's holding on. But he's having another go here, and he's cleared him this time with DRS. Strolled Sainz's fastest lap. Tsunoda had already lost it, I think, hadn't he? So can't be too mad there. 99 accuracy he's on right now. 99. Defending is still his weakest of that batch, but still at 86. Go on, Yuki. I believe in you. Obviously, DRS is sort of mitigating defense attributes there somewhat. Perez now does fastest. Stroll's down to 5th. Okay, that's more where I was expecting Stroll to end up. Now I'm expecting Perez to get Sainz again at some point. Yellow flag? Well, don't get me wrong, I take a safety car now. It's Perez actually running wide. Didn't really do anything. He didn't even lose time. I'm not even going to bother giving that the viewing. Am I going crazy or is it still one train to Hamilton? Just. Or Ocon as well. Oh, there's another yellow flag. Safety car deployed. Gasly's crashed. What, into the Wall of Champions? Yep. Off the racing line though, crucially, so no red flag. Do you reckon we'll get one racing lap? There'll be no DRS, of course. I mean, it's good for our fight with Alpine, because now he's out as well. And he was the better of the two. Ocon's in 9th, currently. So Ocon gains a point, but Gasly, I think, was 6th. So they lose more than they gain through that. So the field has caught up. Last lap, and the safety car didn't come in. We're not going to get the virtue of attacking Max. We'll keep the fuel on burn, just in case. Somehow we can burn the fuel behind the safety car, so we've got less weight. But I have a feeling the safety car will come in anyway. Now, we'll get the race to the line, but I think Verstappen's going to get lucky here a little bit. I think Tsunoda may have had him by the end of the race. Or at least it would have been a 50-50 of who overtakes the smartest essentially at the right point. Whoever's behind at the last detection point would have won on the final lap, but as it stands, we're not going to get the run to the line. I mean, the line is at the very end of it, so there will be deployment from here, and Tsunoda can challenge for it, but I don't think there's enough. Yeah, no one's really fighting. It's a little bit... Everyone played it a little safe there in the end. Sauber's end 15-17. Unbelievable, though. Yuki, get on the podium, Yuki! Hey! Yuki's first podium. You know what? For the long-term narrative, I'm glad it wasn't a win, really, because then there's still something for him to hunt for. We get the more minor check mark first, but Yuki Tsunoda's first podium, and our first podium. Also, I do love the fact he is about 6 inches too tall, but Alex's sacrifice enabled Yuki's podium there. From a statistics point of view, Lewis Hamilton's had the most amusing weekend. He qualified 11th, finished the sprint 11th, and finished the race 11th. But, crucially, something in the top 10 I hadn't noticed, Kevin Magnussen got 8th. 4 points for Haas, and 4 points for Kevin takes him 15th. 3 pointless drivers, Joe Guanyu, Hulkenberg, and Daniel Ricciardo. Yuki Tsunoda goes up to 8th, ahead of Lance Stroll, sort of splitting the Aston Martins now. Are we actually genuinely in the fight with the Aston Martins? Interesting. Perez maintains his hold on the championship, though. Leclerc's not massively far behind, but I think it is a fight between the two Red Bull drivers. The 4 points for Kevin Magnussen means McLaren go to the bottom, but there are no pointless teams this year. Alfa Romeo suffered that indignity last year, but thanks to 8 points for Bottas in Monaco last time out and 4 points for Kevin this time out, and points for Williams last time out as well, I think, was part of that. There are now no pointless teams. McLaren at the bottom, though, 10th of 10. We closed the gap on Aston Martin, but it's not going to be a thing, I don't think. We have, okay. Well, I was thinking it might have been a 5th v 6th. It might actually now be a 4th v 5th. Yeah, more teams are getting slightly better, so this is getting a little bit more mixed up. So I'm glad we kind of pressed our advantage early on to try and claim that by the end of the year. But what a baffling thing. 16th to 8th to 2nd. What a weekend. Well, that's everything. Some of these might have been close to tipping over anyway. You know what? I'm glad I started not using the best version of everything at any given period of time, and then just sort of dedicating one to the race until it dipped under, because that was his second best. It was still 70%, but it was his second best. So I didn't lose either of the 94s. ERS has taken a thump, so that's obviously going to be a problem. And Engine's taken a thump as well. Again, I was using his second best engine as well, so he's still got one perfectly clean engine. So these two will be sort of split between the practice sessions for the near future. But what do we actually need to rebuild here? Still got a chassis in the warehouse, and we're getting new ones of those soon anyway. Rear wing we have spares of, that's all fine. And suspension, I think we're building new ones of those now anyway, so there's no spares, but we're getting a new version in next race regardless. So still getting an old spec one, and there's still front wings to come in. So why is the next one of those taking 7 days? Oh, because of the shutdown of the bloody factory, isn't it? We've had a fire, haven't we? But development speeds up again by 1%. What difference does that make between 7 days? What difference is 1%? What a race. I hope you stuck it out, because good lord, what an ending. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this, do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now, surely by now. Until next time, thank you for watching. Ta-ra.